So today, we're going to do a little review of what we had. Here's today's agenda. We're going to go back over irony, sarcasm, and satire. We have a little bit of a lecture review. This is all of our build-up that we're headed to do Pride and Prejudice. A lot of satire in that, and most people enjoy the book a lot more once we can kind of grasp those. So we're also going to have an associated warm-up activity that's going to have to do with irony, sarcasm, and satire. An introduction to Pride and Prejudice, then we'll follow after that with a lecture, a little brief background, and we're going to do a little video as well. And then right after that, we're going to do some chapter 1 vocabulary and a group activity. Then we're going to actually get into the book just for chapter 1. So just a little brief taste, but this is all to help us so we can understand it and hopefully enjoy the book a little bit more, okay? So let's go ahead and get into what we're going to be actually looking for today. After today, this is what you should be able to do. You're going to have a greater understanding of an ability to use irony, sarcasm, and satire. Today's lecture actually will be followed completely in your notes today. So I would like you to just concentrate on following along. We will have activities. If you want to make additional notes, that's absolutely acceptable. But everything is written down that I'm going to be going over here. And this is, once again, just a review for everybody. This is what we covered over last class. This is what we're going to be looking for. So today we're going to have a greater understanding of an ability to use irony, sarcasm, and satire. And then also, by having that ability, we're going to have a greater understanding of Pride and Prejudice. Irony, sarcasm, and satire. So let's go ahead and we're going to do a little review here. Once again, this is irony. It's the figurative term for the disconnect between what appears to happen or what is apparently being said and the actual truth or reality. And there are 3 forms of irony. There's situational irony, where action or events have the opposite result from what is expected or what is intended. And so some of those examples, for instance, there are roaches infesting the office of a pest control service. No, kind of grody, I guess, yeah. So then we also have a plumber spends all day working on leaky faucets and comes home to find a pipe has burst in his home. So those kind of situations create irony because they're very opposite. Did anyone have any questions? No? Sure? Okay. Dramatic irony. This occurs when the audience or reader of a text knows something that the characters do not. So for example, the audience knows that a killer is hiding in the closet, but the girl in the horror movie does not. Or you have a reader that knows that a storm is coming, but the children playing on the playground in the book don't know it's coming. So once again, that's dramatic irony. Did anyone have any questions about dramatic irony? Comments? No? Okay, no problem. This is just a review, like I said. So now we're looking at verbal irony. This is where someone says the opposite of what they really mean or intend. Sarcasm is a particularly biting or sharp form of verbal irony. So some of our examples. Looking at her son's messy room, a mom would say, "Wow, you could win an award for cleanliness." Or you could have, on the way to school, the school bus gets a flat tire and the bus driver says, "Excellent, this day couldn't start off any better." So once again, the opposite of what would be expected or intended maybe. And then what we see is, once again, sarcasm is directly tied to that verbal irony. So in sarcasm, it's an ironic or satirical remark that seems to be praising someone or something but is really taunting or cutting. Sarcasm can be used to hurt or offend or can be used for comic effect. We have several examples here. So you have, whatever kind of look you were going for, you missed. Or, I'm working very hard to be this poor. So we also have some famous quotes here just thrown in. So like George Carlin, the comedian, weather forecast for tonight, dark. Or some cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go. Oscar Wilde, the author. Also we have Groucho Marx, I never forget a face, but in your case, I'll be glad to make an exception. Those are all very sarcastic. Did anyone have any questions about sarcasm? No? Okay. Good? All right. This is just a review, so that's perfect. That's good. It means that our last lessons worked out nicely. We just want to review this real quick because, like I said, getting these concepts are what we're going to really be looking for, so that this way it makes Pride and Prejudice a lot more enjoyable and understandable. So, impact of tone of voice is a big one. Sarcasm sometimes depends on tone of voice. These examples of sarcasm or applies to people or situations that would only be sarcastic with a sarcastic tone of voice. So you have some examples here. When something bad happens. That's just what I need. Great, terrific. Now we have 3 other examples here. Why don't maybe one of you try out one of these for us, and let's see. Does anyone? Would you like to try? Okay. Why don't you do number 2, Linda, please?
When someone does something wrong, very good, well done, nice.
Oh, oh, well, you went to number 4, but you did it so well, I'm going to let that go. Good job, I like that. It's still, because we're going to get a little moment, take a little break from our notes and all this for a second. Everybody shake it off. We're through that part of the lecture. Great work, everyone. You've survived so far. So now we're going to do a little here with the video. It's also going to kind of introduce us to some more of the concepts and the characters of Pride and Prejudice. And this is also a video that we're going to be going through with the reading, so it can kind of highlight and give us a little bit better idea of some better images and kind of let us see what's going on in Pride and Prejudice besides just when reading or listening to the book. This will often give us the option, of course, of being able to see some of the events, get a better feel for what's going on maybe, and build our enjoyment and our understanding. So let's go ahead and get this shaped out.
Lizzie and Darcy are 2 of literature's most loved romantic characters, yet the foundation for Austen's fantasy is based in reality.
I'm interested in sort of families and what built dynamics and love and jealousy and what goes on in that Bennet family, and I think everyone is.
My dear Mr. Bennet, have you heard? Netherfield Park is let at last.
So what were some things maybe that you guys noticed from watching that video?
I noticed the one thing was the father saying something about his wife. She said something about it. It's with you all the time.
Yeah, her nerves.
Her
Her nerves,
Right.
because she's nervous all the time. He's
Right.
saying, yes, he's a constant companion for 20 years.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. What do you call that? Sarcasm?
Yes,
Yes.
that's exactly what he was being.
Okay.
Being sarcastic, pointing that out right there. Did anybody else have any comments about the video? Anything you might have saw that you liked, didn't like, could associate with from what we've been learning? Satires, sarcasm, irony. Anything? No? That's okay. Why don't we go forward here? We're ready to move on, I think. Now, what's another thing that we did find here when we were watching the video was their vocabulary is very different, right? Some kind of interesting words there that we maybe don't always have the same kind of language, and that's something that we'll see a lot of, is even though we're all speaking English, there's different forms of the English language, and sometimes the words they use and the phrases they use can be kind of confusing. So what we're going to do is build a little of that background knowledge right now with some vocabulary development. Again, Pride and Prejudice is a novel by Jane Austen that satirizes the business of getting married and life in a small village in southern England at the close of the 18th century. What else did we learn today? Let's go over some things that maybe we covered. Right? We had irony, correct? Covered satire, sarcasm. What were some other things, Jennifer? What was something we covered in there?
In our lecture today?
Sure. What's something that we covered?
What a meaningful sentence is.
Yes, absolutely. What a meaningful sentences, correct? And how to use some of those crazy words, those crazy big vocabulary words,
Exactly.
fancy words right there, right?
Yes.
Susie, what is something that you learned today?
The different forms of irony.
Excellent. Excellent class today. Just for what we're going to be doing tomorrow is going to be covering some more Pride and Prejudice. We're going to jump into some more chapters, do some audio book, some vocabulary. Great work today, everyone. Was there any other final questions or concerns before we cut you loose for the day?
Good job, Mr. Curtis.
Oh, well, thank you so much, and give yourselves a hand. You guys did
I
great today. You did great today. Thank you, everybody.